Meanwhile, the Shroud evolved, adapting to human tactics. New weapons appeared, reality-warping fields that bent space. Kale's team captured a Shroud fragment, dissecting it in the base lab. It's not just machines, she realized. It's a hive mind, ancient and afraid. Using the knowledge, they developed countermeasures, disruptors that severed hive links. The war escalated, humanity pushing back with sheer will. Deep in the veil lay the Shroud's core, a colossal station, pulsing with energy. Intelligence from captured data revealed it as the hub of their network. The core is vulnerable during recharge cycles, Jiro explained. We hit it then. The Alliance fleet massed, a ragtag armada against a godlike foe. Kale led the infiltration team, sneaking aboard while the fleet distracted. Inside, the core was a labyrinth of crystalline corridors, guarded by constructs. They fought through, Kale's virus spreading chaos. At the heart, a central intelligence confronted them, a holographic entity, ancient and weary. Why fight us? It asked. We preserve order. Kale stood firm. Order without freedom is death. Humans choose chaos, growth, life. The entity attacked, psionic waves assaulting minds. Jiro sacrificed himself, overloading a disruptor to shield the team. With tears, Kale planted the charges. For Jiro, for all of us. The team escaped as the core detonated, the Shroud network fracturing across the galaxy. The Shroud shattered, remnants fleeing to dark corners. The Concordance, seeing humanity's strength, sued for peace, granting autonomy. Kale returned to Eris, Seven a hero, but changed. She honored Jiro with a memorial, his name etched in stars. Humanity flourished, colonies uniting in a new federation. Innovation boomed, exploring beyond known space. Kale, now a leader, looked to the stars. We're just getting started. The Ember had become a blaze, humanity's spirit unquenchable. Our target is a Shroud outpost, Mira briefed. Destroy it, and we disrupt their network. The fleet jumped, emerging in a nebula clouding sensors. The outpost was a massive structure, tendrils extending like a spider's web. Attack formation, Mira ordered. Lasers lanced out, but the Shroud countered with energy shields and drone swarms. Ships exploded, debris spinning. Kale spotted a weakness, a power node exposed. Focus fire there. The fleet converged, human pilots dodging with erratic maneuvers the Shroud couldn't predict. The node shattered, the outpost imploding. Victory cheers echoed, but losses were heavy. Jiro, piloting a fighter, took a hit, ejecting safely. We did it, he said, bandaged in medbay. Humanity fuck yeah. Kale laughed. Yeah, but this is just the start. The Shroud retaliated, sending waves across the galaxy. Colonies burned, but the Alliance held, countering with guerrilla tactics, hit and run, sabotage, innovation. Kale invented a virus to infect Shroud systems, turning their drones against them. Jiro led scouting missions, mapping enemy movements. As battles raged, bonds formed. Kale and Mira shared quiet moments, dreaming of a free humanity. Success bred envy. At a council meeting on Nova Prime, whispers of dissent grew. Governor Elias, ambitious, saw the Alliance as his empire. We should negotiate with the Concordance, he argued. Use the Shroud as leverage. Mira opposed. They'd sell us out. Tension boiled when a Shroud attack hit during the meeting. In the chaos, evidence pointed to Elias. He'd leaked coordinates. Kale confronted him. Why? Power, he sneered. Humans need a strong leader. A duel ensued, Kale's ingenuity trumping Elias's brute force. She disarmed him with a hidden EMP device. Elias was exiled, the Alliance purified. But trust was fractured, forcing Kale to navigate politics as well as battles. Kale studied the map. There's Nova Prime, 20 light-years out. Big population, good defenses. If we convince them, others will follow. Mira nodded. You and Jiro take the Sparrow. Carry our message. Show them the logs from the Endurance. The journey to Nova Prime was perilous. They jumped through hyperspace, avoiding concordance checkpoints by posing as merchants. At one stop, a trading station, they overheard rumors, human colonies vanishing, blamed on accidents. Shroud's work, Jiro muttered. On Nova Prime, a bustling world of domed cities and orbital shipyards, they met with Governor Elias. He was skeptical, a burly man with a beard like steel wool. A ghost enemy? Sounds like a scam for aid. Kale played the logs, showing the Shroud's attacks. It's real, and it's coming for all of us. Elias leaned back. If I commit, I risk everything. What's in it for us? Survival, Kale said, and a chance to strike back. Humanity united is unstoppable. Debate raged, but Kale's passion swayed him. Nova Prime pledged ships and troops. Emboldened, Kale and Jiro visited more colonies, harsh mining worlds, agrarian outposts, even a pirate haven. Each had stories of losses, fueling the alliance. But the Shroud struck back. During a rendezvous, a fleet ambushed them. The Sparrow fled, but allied ships fell. We're building an army, Kale told Jiro, patching wounds. They can't stop us all. Back at the base, the alliance grew. Humans from across the galaxy arrived, bringing tech, fighters, hope. Mira smiled. You've ignited the Ember. Now let's fan the flame. The alliance assembled in the Veil, a fleet of mismatched ships, sleek cruisers from Nova Prime, rugged haulers from Eris, 7, pirate corvettes with teeth. Kale stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiant, a rebuilt coalition battleship. Her role evolved from technician to strategist. They reached the command center, a room filled with holographic displays showing the Veil's layout. Red icons marked Shroud incursions, blue for human holdouts. The signal array dominated one wall, its Morse code pulse still broadcasting. We sent the signal to rally others, Mira continued. You're the first to respond. Kale felt a surge of purpose. We can help. I'm a tech specialist, Jiro's a wizard with sensors. What do you need? Mira pointed to a damaged generator. Power's failing. If we can fix it, we can boost the signal, call more allies. Kale rolled up her sleeves. Let's get to work. Over the next days, Kale and Jiro integrated into the base. Kale repaired the generator, using parts from the Sparrow to jury-rig a fusion core. Jiro upgraded the sensors, detecting Shroud movements earlier. But peace was short-lived. Alarms blared one night. A Shroud scout probe had breached the perimeter. Battle stations. Mira shouted. The defenders scrambled, arming with laser rifles and improvised explosives. Kale grabbed a weapon, joining the line at the airlock. The probe burst in, a sleek, black sphere pulsing with energy. It fired tendrils of plasma, cutting down two fighters. Kale dodged, firing back. Aim for the core. Jiro hacked a nearby terminal, overriding the probe's shields. The group unleashed a barrage, exploding the intruder. In the aftermath, Mira clapped Kale on the back. You fight like a demon. Stay with us. Kale looked at Jiro, who nodded. We're in. But as they celebrated, a larger shadow loomed on the sensors, a Shroud fleet approaching. The real fight was just beginning. With the scout destroyed, the base was on high alert. Mira gathered the leaders in the command center, holograms flickering with data. The Shroud knows we're here, she said. We can't hold alone. We need to unite the scattered colonies. They pressed on, the Veil's secrets unfolding around them. Derelict stations orbited dead planets, their halls echoing with ghosts of human ingenuity. Kale and Jiro scavenged what they could, weapons, parts, data, piecing together a puzzle of lost history. On the third day, they reached the signal's source, a hidden asteroid base, camouflaged among the rocks. It was human-made, its design pre-coalition. As they approached, a docking beam locked on, pulling them in. Friendly or trap? Jiro wondered. Only one way to find out, Kale replied, unholstering her pistol. The airlock cycled, revealing a group of ragged humans, armed but weary. Their leader, a scarred woman named Mira, stepped forward. You heard the signal? Kale nodded. We came to help. Mira smiled. Then welcome to the resistance. The Shroud is coming, and humanity needs all the fighters it can get. The asteroid base was a marvel of human engineering, burrowed deep into the rock with tunnels reinforced by scavenged alloy. Mira led Kale and Jiro through the corridors, where dozens of survivors worked, repairing equipment, tending hydroponic gardens, training in makeshift gyms. The air was fresher here, scented with growing plants and the tang of welding torches. We're the last of the Veil fleet, Mira explained. 50 years ago, our ancestors fled the Coalition's fall, seeking refuge here. We thought we were safe until the Shroud found us. What is the Shroud? Kale asked, her eyes scanning the base. Myra's face darkened. An ancient alien entity, a network of machines and minds that sees humanity as a threat. It erases colonies, wipes records, to keep us scattered and weak. We've been fighting back, but we're outgunned. Jiro frowned. Why humans specifically? Because we don't fit their order, Mira said. Aliens like the Concordants are predictable, hierarchical. Humans? We're chaotic, innovative. We evolved too fast for their liking. Kale nodded, her own memories bitter. She'd been born on a refugee ship, fleeing the collapse. Her parents had died in a pirate raid when she was 10, leaving her to scrape by on colonies like Eris, 7. Humans are survivors, she said. We adapt. That's what makes us dangerous. On the second day, the sensors picked up debris fields, twisted metal hulks drifting in the void. They were entering the Veil's outer edges, where human ships had met their end. Kale slowed the Sparrow, weaving through the wreckage. Look at that, Jiro pointed to a massive hull fragment, its surface etched with Coalition insignia. That's from the Endurance. Legendary battleship. Thought it was lost in the war. Kale scanned it. No life signs. But there's residual power. Could be worth salvaging. They docked with the fragment, suiting up in EVAs to explore. The interior was a frozen tomb, corridors filled with floating debris and the desiccated remains of crew. Kale found the bridge, its consoles dark but intact. With a jury-rigged power pack, she booted the system. Logs flooded the screen, accounts of a battle against an unknown enemy, not the Concordants. The Shroud, one entry read. It came from nowhere, erasing everything in its path. We fought, but it was like punching smoke. Jiro whistled. The signal mentioned fighting. This must be connected. They downloaded the logs and returned to the Sparrow, their minds buzzing with questions. As they undocked, a shadow moved on the sensors, a Concordant scout drone. Evasive maneuvers. Kale shouted, firing the thrusters. The drone gave chase, its lasers grazing the hull. Jiro manned the makeshift turret, a salvaged mining laser. Hold steady. Kale spun the shuttle, dodging debris. Jiro fired, scoring a hit that sent the drone spiraling into a wreck. They escaped, hearts pounding. That was too close, Jiro gasped. Kale grinned. Welcome to the fight. They worked in silence, loading the shuttle under the cover of night cycle. The colony slept, unaware of the adventure unfolding in its bowels. By the time the first alarm sounded, someone had noticed the missing supplies. Kale and Jiro were strapped in, the Sparrow's engines rumbling to life. Last chance to back out, Kale said, her hands on the controls. Jiro buckled his harness tighter. Let's go find those ghosts. The shuttle lifted off, slipping through the hangar doors into the star-studded void. Eris, 7 receded behind them, a glittering speck in the darkness. Ahead lay the Veil, a shroud of mystery and danger. Kale felt a thrill she hadn't known in years. For the first time, she was chasing something real, something that could change everything. The Sparrow cut through space like a knife through velvet, its engines a low hum that vibrated through the hull. Kale adjusted the navigation console, plotting a course that skirted known Concordance patrol routes. The Veil was 3 days away at sublight speeds, and they couldn't risk jumping to FTL, too much energy signature, too easy to detect. Jiro sat in the co-pilot's seat, monitoring sensors for any signs of pursuit. No tails yet, he reported. Council probably thinks we're on a routine maintenance run. Kale smirked. Give them time. They'll figure it out when the inventory audit hits. The cabin was cramped, filled with crates of supplies and the faint scent of recycled air. Kale had rigged a makeshift galley in the corner, where a hot plate simmered a pot of scent stew. It wasn't gourmet, but it kept the hunger at bay. As they traveled, Kale and Jiro shared stories to pass the time. Jiro spoke of his childhood on an orbital station above old Earth, before the coalition fell. We had views of the planet every day, he said, his eyes distant. Blue oceans, green lands. Then the aliens came, and it all went to hell. Kale shook her head. The council will sit on this for weeks. They'll argue, then bury it. You know how they are. The colony's leaders were cautious to a fault, more concerned with keeping the air filters running than chasing mysteries. We need to verify it ourselves. Jiro raised an eyebrow. You want to take a shuttle out to the Veil? Just the two of us? That's suicide. Not suicide, Kale said, a grin tugging at her lips. Exploration. Come on, Jiro. When's the last time you did something that mattered? He stared at her, then sighed. You're going to get us killed, Renner. Maybe, she admitted. But if we don't check this out, we'll spend the rest of our lives wondering. As the shift ended, Kale and Jiro slipped out of the hub, their footsteps echoing in the dim corridors of the colony. Eris 7 was a labyrinth of tunnels bored into the asteroid, lit by sputtering fluorescent lights that buzzed like angry insects. The air was thick with the smell of sweat and machinery, a constant reminder of the fragile bubble of life they maintained against the vacuum outside. They made their way to the hangar bay, a cavernous space filled with rusted shuttles and mining drones. Kale's favorite was the Sparrow, a beat-up cargo hauler she'd patched up more times than she could count. It wasn't fast or armed, but it was reliable, and its engines could handle the long haul to the Veil. We'll need supplies, Jiro said, checking the inventory on a tablet. Food, oxygen, fuel, and weapons, just in case. Kale nodded, her mind already mapping the route. I've got a stash in my quarters. Laser pistol, a few grenades. Nothing fancy, but better than nothing. Come look at this. Kale's voice was tight, her usual sarcasm replaced by something sharper. Jiro ambled over, his lanky frame moving with the lazy grace of someone born in low gravity. He peered over her shoulder, squinting at the screen. Morse code? You're kidding. He leaned closer, his brow furrowing. Where's it coming from? Kale traced the signal's origin, her fingers dancing over the controls. The coordinates pointed to a region beyond the Orion Arm, a dead zone where no colony had survived the coalition's collapse. It's from the Veil, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Jiro snorted. The Veil? That's a graveyard. Nothing's out there but ghosts and radiation. Then who sent this? Kale snapped, pointing at the screen. Ghosts don't signal for help. Jiro opened his mouth, then closed it. He wasn't wrong about the Veil. It was a stretch of space littered with the wreckage of human ambition, failed colonies, abandoned stations, and ships lost to the void. The alien concordance, the galaxy's dominant power, had declared it a quarantine zone after the last human outpost there went silent 50 years ago. No one went near it, not even scavengers. Kale's mind raced. The signal could be a trap, a lure set by pirates, or worse. The concordance didn't take kindly to humans poking around in their forbidden zones. But the message, fight, stirred something in her. Eris 7 was a dead end, a place where dreams went to suffocate. She'd spent her life fixing broken machines, dodging debt collectors, and pretending she didn't care. This signal was a crack in that monotony, a chance at something bigger. We need to tell the council, Jiro said, breaking her reverie. If this is real, it's above our pay grade. Another day in paradise, Kale muttered, sipping from a dented canteen. The recycled water was bitter, laced with minerals from the asteroid's core. Outside, The surface of Eris 7 was a jagged wasteland of silicate dust and ice, pocked with mining rigs that groaned under the weight of their own obsolescence. The colony's 3,000 souls survived by clawing rare minerals from the rock, trading them to passing merchant fleets for food, air, and the occasional luxury, like the cheap whiskey Kale kept hidden under her bunk. Her console pinged, a sharp sound that cut through the hum of the hub. She frowned, brushing a strand of dark hair from her eyes. The sensor logs were spitting out anomalies again, probably another glitch in the array's ancient wiring. She tapped the screen, expecting the usual noise, cosmic radiation, maybe a stray meteor. Instead, the display resolved into a rhythmic pulse, a sequence of dots and dashes that made her heart skip. "Morse code," she whispered. "No way." Kale's fingers flew across the console, pulling up the raw data. The signal was faint, barely distinguishable from background static, but it was deliberate. She ran it through the decoder, a relic from her days tinkering with pre-coalition tech. The message unfolded on her screen, stark and impossible. "SOS. We are here. Fight." She stared at it, her pulse quickening. Morse code hadn't been used in centuries, not since humanity's early spacefaring days. No alien species would bother with it. Their communication protocols were all quantum entangled or psionic, far beyond human tech. This was human. It had to be. "Hey, Jiro," Kale called, not taking her eyes off the screen. Jiro Tanaka, the hub's other technician, looked up from his own console, where he was nursing a cup of synthetic tea. "What's got you yelling?" "Another busted drill." The void hummed with silence, a canvas of black punctuated by the cold gleam of distant stars. In the year 2478, humanity had stretched its fingers across the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as survivors, tenacious, fractured, and fiercely independent. The United Earth Coalition had collapsed a century ago, leaving scattered colonies to fend for themselves among alien empires that viewed humans as little more than cosmic vermin. Yet, in that vast indifference, a single signal flickered to life. It came from the edge of the Orion Arm, a faint pulse buried in the static of deep space. The signal was no accident. It carried a message, encoded in a language no alien species could decipher, a language rooted in humanity's ancient past, Morse code. Short bursts, long pauses, repeating in a loop that whispered of desperation and defiance. "SOS. We are here. Fight." On the mining colony of Eris 7, a forgotten speck in the galaxy's hinterlands, a lone technician named Kale Renner picked up the signal. She was no hero, just a woman with grease-stained hands and a stubborn streak wider than the asteroid field she called home. But that signal, those 3 words, lit a spark in her chest. Someone was out there. Someone human. And they were calling for war. Kale didn't know it yet, but that signal would pull her into a conflict older than the stars themselves, a fight that would test the limits of human courage and ingenuity against an enemy that had never known defeat. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity could do when backed into a corner. The air in Eris 7's control hub tasted like rust and regret. Kale Renner hunched over her console, the glow of flickering screens casting shadows across her face. The colony's sensor array was a patchwork of salvaged tech, cobbled together from derelict ships and scavenged alien scrap. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. Barely.